A student fell in love with his teacher. All the other children in the class were studying, but his eyes only saw his teacher. One day, the teacher, annoyed, asked, "Do you come here to study or for something else?" The boy smiled and said, "Ma'am, I will tell you this alone." The bell for dismissal rang. The entire school emptied. The room became deserted, and only the boy and his teacher remained face to face. The teacher said in a stern tone, "Now tell me what you want to say." And then the boy said something that a husband usually says to his wife. The teacher was stunned, but the game was not over yet. The boy had some secret videos, which he used as a weapon to start blackmailing his teacher. Did that stubborn student get his way, or did the teacher bravely change everything? To know this, listen to this story till the end. Night had fallen with its full intensity. Outside, the sky was steeped in deep ink, and the fine drops of rain crawling on the window panes felt as if someone had muted their sound. Anvita Desai wiped the sweat from Rish's forehead. She straightened the blanket and dimmed the lamp's light slightly. Only the faint rustle of breathing remained in the room when there was a soft knock on the main door. Once, then twice, then thrice. A knock that held both desire and concealment, as if someone wanted the sound to be heard and not heard at the same time. She remained still in her place. Her heart said it must be the wind, but her fingers further tightened the knot of the blanket. For a moment, the knocking stopped. Then, a folded slip of paper rustled as it slid in from under the door. This sound was not merely of paper. It was a secret rustle, stealthily slipping. The chain remained as it was, and Vita bent down and picked up the slip. She opened the paper, and a line shone in unfamiliar yet recognizable handwriting. "Mum, you are mine. You cannot leave me." Coldness spread through her fingers. The air in the room felt heavy, and her heart pounded loudly in her ears. She quickly hid the slip in the kitchen bin. She peeked out the window. The street was deserted. Fine streaks of rain stretched far across the road. The trees were getting wet without protest. There was no shadow anywhere, just something that seemed to shift in the corner of her eye. A vague, fleeting shade whose name was hard to place. From behind, a tiny voice came. "Mom, who is it?" She started and softly said, "No one, dear. Go to sleep." But her heart's rhythm was out of control, as if a small drum was constantly beating inside. The morning broke with the light fragrance of wet air. There was an unnamed dampness in the long corridors of the college. And Vita came into the class, opened the register, marked the date, and said in a clear voice, "Today is a surprise test. 3 questions. Write what you know. Try what you don't." Vayahan Malik was sitting on the second seat of the first bench. His copy was open, the page blank, his gaze fixed straight on her. He kept drawing small circles on the table with the tip of his pen, as if wanting to trap time right where his gaze lingered. She went closer. "Start, Vayahan." He smiled slightly. "It has already started, ma'am. Start studying. Let your eyes leave me and fall on your copy. Keep your tone respectful. You are my student." There was no harshness in her tone, but a clear line was drawn. The test ended, and Anvita collected the copies. As she stepped out, for a moment she felt as if a stubborn gaze had touched her back. She told herself it was an illusion, but an illusion has its own power that sticks to the mind. In the staff room, other teachers were laughing and joking over tea. Anvita picked up her cup but couldn't bring it to her lips. The slip from the night flashed in her mind like lightning, and her heart rate quickened. She looked out the window at the courtyard and saw Vayahan for a moment in the crowd of students. The next moment, he dissolved into the air. After the next period, she let the class empty. "Vayahan, wait a moment." He remained seated on the edge of the chair. "How are you? Finding college?" Silence. "Your last test was weak. If you need help with anything." He suddenly spoke. "Help from you. You yourself are troubled, ma'am." His tone was not soft, but there was no harshness either, as if someone had covered a dagger with velvet. "I am your teacher. Maintain a respectful tone. I want to come close to you. I don't want to remain a student." She took a step back. Coldness ran from her palms to her elbows. "Control yourself. Don't cross the line. You draw the line, and I always find myself on the side where you are not. This conversation is over. Come during meeting hours for studies if you wish. The rest of the matters will remain here." He went to the door, turned, and slowly said, "These matters don't end. They only change." Then he left. Risha laughed. For a moment, the room lit up, night fell, and there was another slip under the door. "You cannot leave me." She crumpled the slip in her fist. "I won't leave. I will end this, if not now, then very soon." The next morning, she went to the quiet corner of the library. She sent a message, 5 minutes, only about studies. When Vayahan came, he had a half smile on his lips. "This will end, Vayahan. You study in class. Keep your distance from me. You said it was about studies. You are lying to yourself, ma'am. I am married, a mother, and a teacher under both college policy and law. This relationship is impossible. I am 19 years old. I can make my own decisions. You are my student. That is enough. If you don't desist, I will file a formal complaint." He looked at her for a few seconds, then slowly said, "Complaints don't stop desire, ma'am," and gradually faded away. As the day drew to a close, the staff slipped a new envelope under the door of her room. Inside was a small golden heart-shaped sticker and a note. "Today, 5:15, same place." She clenched the envelope in her fist. There was a bitterness inside that refused to soften. Now or never, she commanded herself. Behind the old auditorium, long tree branches cast broken lines on the floor. She stopped a short distance away, straightening her breath when she heard footsteps. Vayahan stood before her. "You came. I knew it. I have come to end it. What is begun must be completed." He took a step closer. She didn't retreat. A few inches remained between them. "You cannot deny me." His breath mingled with hers. "I am your teacher. That is my answer. And I am the only student who has read you." The air seemed to still. For a moment, a crack appeared somewhere in her heart. She told herself, "Go back." But sometimes, a moment sets its own pace. Vayahan touched her hand. She could have pulled away, but she didn't. Their breaths mingled for a moment. Then she suddenly composed herself, stepped back, her face a mix of fear and shame. This was wrong. "It won't happen again." He smiled. "You couldn't refuse, even if you wanted to. That is enough." She left with quick steps, sat in the car, looked at herself in the mirror, eyes wet, face distraught. That very night, she placed a white envelope on her study table, a page of confession. "I made a mistake. I am re-establishing boundaries and a resignation. If things get out of control, this will be submitted." A brief note to Varden. "If I don't come home by evening, give this envelope to the principal." The next day, Vayahan had changed. In the corridor, he kept saying, "No need to be afraid. You are mine." A whisper in class, "That moment will always remain." 2 or 3 students noticed an odd attraction between the two, and murmurs began. A girl laughed and said, "Mum, do you have fans?" A warmth flared on her cheeks, and the next moment she turned cold. In the evening, she bravely asked Varden, "Do you ever feel that the distance between us has grown?" Varden closed the newspaper. "It happens, but if we stop talking, that hesitation becomes a wall." Then he hesitated and said, "Shall I make tea?" This was a small bridge, but a real one. Straightforward sentences were presented before her. Slips, time, pictures, call logs. First admission, re-establishment of boundaries, student's threat. Dr. Rao neither scolded nor defended. She only said, "We are an institution, not characters. Our job is protection and truth. Do not take your classes alone. If possible, keep the door open. Report any unusual activity in writing. And yes, prioritize your daughter's safety." That night, while telling a story to Risha, Anvita told herself, heroes win in stories because the story opens a sliding door for them. In life, there's also a lock with the door. Risha fell asleep. She kept looking at the door for a long time, as if wanting to name the lock. The next day, Vayahan said in the corridor, "Erase the messages and everything will be clean." Clean is a lie. Truth is like air. Even if it's not visible, it's present, she said. Then speak the truth in front of everyone that you just. He raised his hand. "You saw me weak once and took it as permission. I made a mistake, but its antiquity will not be fear." He remained silent for a few moments. "Say this sentence to yourself without me. then listen to what it answers. He left, but his steps were heavy. Before the end of the week, the first counseling session took place. The room was small, with a plant, a soft chair, and clear water on the table. The counselor asked, "What one feeling would you name?" "Shame." "What does shame say?" "That I should be punished." "And what does your daughter say?" "That she wants to play cards." "So then, between punishment and play, you have to choose a place where life can exist." She remained silent for a long time. Silence lined up her thoughts. In the hostel, Soul played a voice note from his father for Vayahan. "Son, when are you coming home?" Vayahan looked at the mobile screen. "I don't know," he said softly. "At least talk to him." Soul said, "They talk big. When I speak, they are in a hurry. Then write a letter, or at least write a letter to yourself." Vayahan brushed off the conversation. But that night, lying in bed, he wrote a letter in his heart whose lines only he could read. "Why did I come this far? Perhaps because someone saw me, and I mistook being seen for being attained." On Monday afternoon, another turn came. A USB was found under the wiper of Invita's car. Inside was an audio recording of the day behind the library, her own gasping breaths, her "this was wrong" sentences, and in between, Vayahan's low voice. In the background of the voice, there was the rustling of clothes and the humming of a fan. It seemed like it was recorded close to a mobile phone. She felt coldness run through her body. A half line became a nail in her mind. Who made this recording? She immediately informed security. Emailed Professor Mara. The reply came, "Keep it safe, don't share, IT will intervene." Her heart pounded in her ears. There was light in the room, but a thick curtain had fallen over her mind. That same evening, Vayahan's message came. "Tonight at 5:15, if you don't come, I'll share the audio." She turned off her phone, placed the envelope on the table, and went to Varden. "I need to talk to you." She didn't tell the whole story, just that there was a student. He was threatening her. She was admitting her mistake. She wanted to fight, but not alone. For the first time, Varden didn't pick up the newspaper. He listened, and at one point said, "We both make mistakes, but if we talk, maybe mistakes can lead to something called learning." Her lips trembled, then she composed herself. Behind the old library, she was already standing there this time, a small file in her hand. When Vayahan came, there was weariness in his eyes along with stubbornness. "Audios, pictures, slips, you have all this." "Yes, I am submitting all of this to the institution myself. If you trouble me or my family even one step, all of this will go straight to the principal. I will admit my mistake myself. You can say whatever you want. Do you think you will win by confessing? I didn't come to win. I came to heal, and this is over. From today onwards, if you appear near my door, class, or car, I will not speak loudly, but will report you by name." He stood silent. A notification flashed on his phone. "Dad, where are you?" He turned the phone over. His voice cracked. "Without you, you have not walked with me, but against me. Threat is not the language of love." She took out a small slip from her pocket. "This is my therapist's card. Go and talk. Your life is bigger than a moment's intoxication." He stepped back a few paces, as if some knot inside had come undone. He slowly said, "I will try, not try, but continue." He turned away. His steps became lighter. Beyond the shade of the trees, he disappeared from view. She stood there for a while. For the first time, there was faint sunshine in the air along with dampness. Over the next 2 days, a notice was displayed on the college notice board: boundaries and safety, special sessions for teachers and students. The faces in the hall were diverse, some curious, some disappointed, some experienced. After the session, a girl came and said, "Ma'am, sometimes people confuse being seen with being gained, and sometimes a teacher considers herself a wall, even though she is also human." And Vita gently said, "That's why one has to learn to say no and yes too, but only in the right place." Meanwhile, the IT cell reported that the admin of the group where the blurry picture was spread had sent an apology message. There was a misunderstanding. The faces in the picture were not identifiable. This apology was a thin paper that could not become a wall against a storm, but it did slightly change the direction of the wind. At home, Varden smiled at Invita while playing cards with Risha in the living room. The tea had less ginger. This was a small thing, but sometimes home starts again with small things. Late at night, she broke her hesitation and told herself, "I will go with you for 2 therapy sessions. Maybe we both will learn how to talk when it's difficult to talk." She nodded in agreement. A light stood guard somewhere inside. In the hostel, Soul came to Vayahan's bed and said, "Come with me tomorrow. There's a place where people listen. They don't give lectures, therapy. Yes, people will say I'm crazy. People are also husbands, daughters, teachers, and us. We are all people, and we all sometimes mess up." Vayahan closed his eyes and nodded. "I also messed up. Maybe now I want to get straight." 2 days later, a brief envelope arrived by post. There was no sender's name or lengthy writing. Inside was a note and a ticket receipt. "I am going to therapy, whether I get admission again or not. I want to go back to my life. I will remember that freedom is the first lesson of love. Vim." And Vita read the line repeatedly. There was the sound of someone pausing in the paper. She folded the slip and put it in the drawer. In the morning, she entered the class, and the board was completely clean. No heart sticker, no sentence. She wrote the date, opened the register, and said, "Today we will start with a new chapter, boundaries and responsibility. First question, when do boundaries break?" The young eyes sitting in front of her were looking at her, some with surprise, some with slight embarrassment, and some with a hunger for learning. She felt that her words had now merged with the rhythm of her breath. When the period ended, she gathered the register and came to the door. Outside, the sun was bright, the air was light. Inside, a soft strength had settled, as if a pillar had risen in the middle of her back, whose name was not fear but form. Days slowly pass, as if someone had slowed down a fast-paced film. Risha's drawings became more colorful. Varden would place an extra cup of tea with the newspaper, which never had his name on it, but she knew it was for her. After the college session, a boy came and said, "Ma'am, what do we do if someone doesn't want to listen?" "Don't say it loudly," she said, "and don't go near such people alone. The institution does the rest, provided you open the door. If you are afraid to open the door, take someone with you." Do people have fear? Sometimes, in the last hours of the night, she would look under the door. There would be no slip there. The rain in the air had lessened. Sometimes she would ask herself if everything was over. Then she would remind herself that ending is also a habit that one has to learn. Some things don't end, they just sit somewhere in the back and breathe. And when you name them, they become weak. One day, Risha made a new drawing. It was of a mother and father standing in front of a blue house. A yellow sun laughed above. Risha said, "Mom, this is us." "Yes," and Vita stroked her daughter's hair. "And we are fine." "Since when are we fine?" "Since we started talking." As evening fell, she passed behind the old library. The tree branches still made lines on the floor, but beyond those lines, she could now see a straight path.